So, you know, while I was growing up, I am 22 right now, for context, but when I was growing up, there was this one question which my parents used to ask me every single weekend. Back in the 2014 and the 15s, when the data science job was the new hot thing, my father would look at the newspapers about how the latest IIT graduate is getting this 2 crore offer at Uber, going abroad. He used to look at that news, and he used to look at me, and he used to ask me, what do you want to do? Where do you see yourself? And that's a question that used to haunt me almost every single time that he asked me that. Do I want to go into civil services? Do I want to become a doctor? Do I want to become a developer? Do I want to be a designer? I had no clue. To my 14-year-old innocent self, I had recently watched Iron Man, and that's all I could imagine myself to be. Seriously, I just loved building cool stuff. I would literally beg my father to buy me that remote control car, which I used to break apart, and build something from that. So that was who I was. With time, I realized my interest lied more into coding, into computer science, into writing code. But as fate would have it, I got my engineering program in electrical engineering, which did not really work out, and I dropped out later on. It's been 2 years from that time. But this question used to, haunt my mind all the time. Like, who do I want to be? I looked at the stats at that time, and as we speak today, over 64% people are in industries that they don't like. There are 7 out of 10 people right now who are not in their dream role. And over 46% people think that their dream career isn't even achievable. It's not even realistic. And so while I was looking at all of these numbers, it made me think about my own self. I started recording videos in my own room in Mumbai in 2020, and I had no idea I would be standing here today with over 200 million views and 3 million following online. But that's a completely different career than what I had imagined. I wanted to write code. I wanted to be a software developer. And I am none of that today. I am someone who's completely different from what I imagined myself to be. What happened? What changed? Let's find out. So, with all of these new AI tools like Devin, there is Sora, there is Adobe Firefly, there is countless other tools, Midjourney, for example, right? They're all creating this fear in minds of people, and I'm sure you will relate with this. You are afraid of these tools and what they can do. Of course, they are in very nascent stages right now, but not too long from today, there might be a tool which could do everything that a developer does. We are not at that stage right now, but we might get there somehow, right? With all the growth and development that we've seen in the last few years, you never know where we go. So all of these tools create this fear in minds of people that, will I get replaced? And this reminds me of that time when Henry Ford, came up with the new car. And back then, the horse riders and the buggy was the whole thing. They got replaced with the car, but it also created tons of new opportunities and careers. But, let's talk about today. There are these memes going around that, talk about how humans are hooked to scrolling, to social media, to all the fear-mongering while the machines are learning, right? You might have seen this. And it makes me to recall this funny New Yorker magazine cover, which looks like this. And, this all made me realize in 2020 that the typical 40-year career is doomed, in which you would do your bachelor's, you do your master's, you would then get into a career, you would climb that ladder, and then you would retire and you would live off of your savings. That career does not exist at all right now. So what do we have? What now, Ishan? What do we do? Well, there is a new world order that I want you all to have awareness about, because that's the first step to getting to some place better, right? And Ray Dalio wrote this book called as The Changing World Order, and it talks about the same thing in economics. I'm talking about it in the case of career. He talks about how, working in a well-paying job is not your leverage, is not going to set you free. You might get a 3 crore package at Jane Street, but you might also get replaced or laid off from what we've seen in the last couple of years. So that is not an identifier of success as of now, right? So what is there? Well, it's all about building a wealth creation engine. It's all about building an asset that works for you even when you're not. And that is what I want to talk about. And the wealth creation engine that I have unlocked in the last few years, for me, is content. Content has unlocked doors for me that I had never imagined I would be reaching at this age, in this short span of time. Let's try to understand this deeper, right? So instead of having that typical career of a doctor, of a designer, of a developer, think about a career of a doctor who creates content, a career of a designer who creates content, a developer who creates content, right? A CA who creates content. You might actually know people in your own field who are doing this right now. And this opens doors to immense, infinite opportunities. And I'm not just talking about this for you to imagine. I actually have friends. This is Manan Vora. He's a friend of mine. He creates reels on Instagram around how can you be more fit. He's an orthopedic surgeon. And he recently launched his company which offers nutrition advice and training. And that is amazing. Another one, that is Sapta. He's a designer. He's the head of design at Swiggy. He's a good friend of mine, and he has been working with companies around the world. What else? We have Nishan Cheher. He's a friend of mine. You might have seen him on YouTube. He is a developer who works at Microsoft and just launched his course in which he teaches people about DSA and helps them get jobs. We then also have Kushal Lodha, who's a friend of mine, who used to work in private equity at Aditya Birla, and he's now launched his own company called as Kager, in which he is helping people get jobs in financial roles. Well, and then the last one I think you all can identify. This is Alak Pandey sir, a mentor and friend of mine, who you all know has built PhysicsWala. So what this does, when you combine your traditional old career with content, is that it makes you indispensable. There's a book that Seth Godin wrote called as The Kingpin, which is all about how do you become indispensable in this world. And that's an amazing book. But the point I'm making here is you have to become one of zero. This is a quote by Alex Hormozy, and he says that the best thing you can do in your career is to become one of zero. There is no one that can do what you do with your identity, with the way you do it. And so you get paid disproportionately higher than what anyone else can get paid. These are all distribution-led careers. So you had distribution, which you optimize, and you make something out of that. Let's get some more examples, right? So what this basically does is it gives you accountability. So now, whatever you say matters, and it gives you the ownership of what you put out. While you might be working at the top companies of this world right now, what you are doing, you're not exactly accountable for that, right? If something happens with Gemini or something that Google releases, the headline is, Google effed up. They never say, this engineer in the Google department messed up, right? So now you have full accountability. And as a result of that, the good part is that you also unlock the compounding effect of that, as I've just shown you with all the examples prior. So these are the three biggest benefits that you get when you combine content distribution with your own career. All right. Again, I want to rephrase this. Everything that you are doing can be automated, right? All the tools that are out there, they can automate what you are writing, what you're designing, what you're building, but what cannot be automated is yourself, is you, the brand. And this is a very important concept for you to understand if you want to thrive in the next few years. Let's understand this deeper, right? How can you get started? It's all fun and games to look at case studies of people, but how do you get started in this field? Let's talk about that. You first need to figure out what is your one thing. What is one thing that people can pay you for? And a very easy exercise is to think about the dictionary of people who will be watching your content and thinking, what's one word that you want them to replace your name with? For example, if I say the word Ali Abdal, you all will have the word productivity, right? You might have seen his videos in which he talks about productivity, becoming more productive, and that is excellent branding. So always think about what that one thing could be, and it could be anything, right? You can be anything that you want, but you cannot be everything. It's a very famous quote which says that you can be anything that you want, but not everything. And I'm saying this twice because I have made this mistake of trying to do everything, of trying to be everyone, right? But the realization that you will have when you try to do everything is that you don't have expertise or mastery over one thing. And that is all that you need to do. All right. An example is Miss Kat Norton. She is also known as Miss Excel. What she did beautifully was make these short TikToks in the last 2 years around how can people use Excel. Shortcuts, tips and tricks, things like that. And then she launched her course. And as a result of that, she made $100,000 on just the first day. Just the first day, she makes $100,000 versus someone who works at a dead-end job using Excel to complete some task that the company has given to him or her. And so I wanted to think about this much more deeply when you go back, right? The second step is to start earning your stripes. Why should people trust you? What do you have that stands you from everyone else, right? An example could be someone getting a job at top tech companies. So now you have that badge. Oh, I am from Google. I am from Microsoft. I am from Facebook. Or someone who's built something. Like, for example, I built an agency of 25 people, and now I'm talking about how I did that on social media. That is your proof. So the point is to earn your stripes. Because without that, you would just be that 18-year-old kid who's talking about hustle and entrepreneurship and all the things that you do not trust him for because he has not done it. I'm sure you all have seen such people. No, nothing wrong in that, but it's just that they have not earned their stripes. All right, the job or the experience, you need to get that first. And when you are doing that, you need to document your life. And document your life, you might have already seen those day in the life videos in which people show their life, what are they doing, where are they going, the free lunches they're having at Google. But honestly, it's just about being relatable with your audience. I once met Saurav Joshi, and I asked him this simple question that, bro, why do people watch you? I just don't get it. Why do people watch you? And the first answer that he had was, because I am relatable. My vlogs are very relatable to people who are consuming my content. And that is excellent. So you have to showcase your life and what are you doing. And that is the fastest way to build that relationship with the audience and have better, loyal distribution. Okay, that is the day in the life. The fourth step is that you need to scale. It's okay for you to have this one YouTube channel in which you're talking about your daily routine of being a software developer, but if you really want to get in front of the masses, if you want to get out there, you need to be on all the platforms. For example, you might have seen Neeraj, who is Easy Snippet on Instagram, right? And what he does amazingly well is that he uses the most trendy, hot piece of content and then puts across his tutorials. And that is beautiful because he has unlocked a way to gain virality. And now everyone knows him. Even though you might not have seen his day in the life, or you might not have consumed his content, but you know who he is. And so that is what I mean when I say scale. Multiple platforms, it is all about repurposing. I'm sure you all have seen Arpit Bala Reels. That's an excellent case study of repurposing content and being in front of the masses, right? I searched his Instagram. I could not find his Instagram account. And I was like, they're all meme accounts. And that's crazy. That's his strategy. But the last step, which is the most important, is to monetize. And all the people I just showed you, they've all monetized in one way or the other, right? They monetize through courses. They monetize through launching their own ebooks. They monetized by helping brands and helping their own audience by consulting. I get these messages from companies saying that, Ishan, you've grown your channel to over 1 million subscribers and 200 million views. We want you to help us get there. and so we want you to consult us. And I get these emails almost every single week. I get that because I am out there, I'm discoverable, and because I've built my brand on that one thing, which is online business. And the next thing is freelance. Of course, there are designers out there who are helping brands build their own design assets, their own branding packages, and that is really lucrative. And obviously, there is projects that you can get access to. Now, people who create content get these in abundance. The only people complaining are the ones who are not taking help of content. The only people who are writing those LinkedIn posts, oh, I just got laid off. Nothing wrong, but you need to realize that you can do much more if you take the advantage of content. And you might say, कि कितने ही लोग हो सकते हैं? How many of people can create their own brand? And the answer is, as many as there are, as many as you want, right? There is no limit to how many people can build their brand as long as you can differentiate yourself from everyone else. So that's how this works. I want to leave you with this one last quote, which I learned the hard way, and it is the fact that in this world, you do not get paid by the skills that you have, but by how hard it is to replace you. In this world, you get paid not by the skills you have, but by how hard it is to replace you. And that's all. Thank you so much.